obviously I was asked by my manager to talk to you guys about hose bibs, wall faucets, outside spigots, stuff like that. Obviously you guys use those on a daily basis in the summertime. So whose first summer is it with doing AC system checks this year? A couple of you guys? Okay, so this is going to really help benefit you guys. A lot of you other guys have probably seen this, probably been exposed to it, where you go hook up a hose and you have no water coming out, like very little pressure, right? You go to clean that coil and there's nothing. How to like conversate with the homeowner about that, you know, asking where those hose bibs are, because a lot of times when you go out and they have one hose bib in like a townhome, and if that hose bib had froze, you kind of have to stop your AC check, right? So we always want to make sure when we're going through the house, we can see where there's other hose bibs and wall faucets, just in case that one closest to the AC is frozen. So today I want to talk to you guys about just some things to look out for. Maybe do a little bit of role playing with some of your tech leads or even some of your managers today too. First thing, what I always like to do, when I did HVAC, I worked at Heartland Heating and Cooling for a couple years before I came to Golden Rule. I always turn that hose bib on, okay, before I even hooked my hose up, because I wanted to be sure that when I turned it on, I could go directly to the homeowner and say, hey, look, I haven't even hooked up my hose yet, and I have nothing coming out, right? That just takes all responsibility off of me, because once I hook my hose up, they're going to want to be like, well, you were the one that touched it. So definitely want to overcome that objection. How many people have like their own sprayers, like their own nozzles, their own like different settings and stuff? So maybe some of the senior guys can answer this question. When you turn that hose bib on with your sprayer already connected, and you hear water running, what do you guys typically think? Like,
Thank God.
thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So water continuously running with the sprayer on is not good, right? Because that water should stop. You should not hear anything.
Never mind.
So yeah, so like when you turn that hose bib on with your own sprayer and you're like, man, I still hear water running, maybe shut that off, go downstairs, just make sure there's nothing coming out in that basement. Or the homeowner will come out screaming at you like, hey, shut it off, right? So, what questions do you guys have so far? Okay. Other thing too, look at age, corrosion, stuff like that. You want to make sure that obviously we're looking at something like if it's super, super old, you know, is that handle going to work? Is it going to leak when you shut it off, like constantly drip, right? I know you guys have your tablets, so you can take videos. Definitely take video if that does happen, where you do shut it off and that hose bib is like constantly dripping, because then you can go to that homeowner and say, hey, there seems to be some concerns with that hose bib. It's constantly dripping. I can have one of our plumbers come out and take a look at it for you today, or at some point to put you on the schedule, right? Don't be afraid to go tell those homeowners that, because that saves you the headache, saves you the call back of, hey, such and such, let's say Lance was just out here, did a system check, now my hose bib just won't stop dripping. Now the homeowner's upset, didn't bring it to her attention or his attention, right? So that's something we want to just kind of be very attentive on. I guess you guys have any questions about that? All right. Who are the tech leads here? Two?
We're missing two today.
Missing two today?
Lucky us.
Okay. Would the managers be opposed to doing some role playing? Okay.
I do have one question. I figured
Yep.
you might lead into it. Okay, we hear water running.
Yep.
It's not coming out our hose or out the spigot. What do we do?
Shut it off. Shut it off. Go downstairs. Make sure that where that hose bib is at, you go in that general area. If there's drywall, there's not a whole lot you can do. You might see it come out of like a light fixture or something kind of in that area. If it's an unfinished basement, let's say you go down to that utility room, that hose bib is directly right outside of there. A lot of times you'll see water on the floor, right? Because it probably froze, or there's a bad connection, maybe corrosion or something. So you'll see water on the floor. You go tell the homeowner, hey, I think something's going on with the hose bib. I'd like to have one of our plumbers come out, right? First question, probably, more than likely, the homeowner's going to ask is, who's paying for this? You know, I shouldn't have to pay for this. Why? You know, who's covering this, right? Don't give them any sort of answer other than, hey, I'd like to have one of our plumbers come out and just take a look at it, just to make sure that, you know, it's corrosion or it's a frozen hose bib. I just want to be sure everything's okay for you, okay? Don't tell them.
Hey Brian, I know you said I could use your water spigot out there, but I went to turn it on and I can hear kind of water running. I don't water running spigot, which makes sense, right? But I had it attached to my hose, right? And when the hose is closed, you're not supposed to have any water just running to it, right? But I can still hear water running from the inside, so I came, turned it off, just because I'm not a plumber, so I don't know what's going on there. But do want to get a plumber out here, they can check that over for you, take a look, see what's going on with it.
So it's leaking?
Could be a possibility, I'm not too sure, I didn't see anything, but that just was a concern for me, just because I ran into it before where it has leaked, so I just want to get a plumber out here and have one or take a look at it for you.
Yeah, how quickly can you get a plumber out there?
I can call. We should be able to get here for you today. Let me make a call and double check for you. Does today work for you?
Yeah, today works fine, yeah.
Perfect. Let me make that call real quick.
Awesome.
Start off with that.
Hey Brian, you know how I was going to go rinse off your AC unit for you?
Yeah.
When I went to go turn on the water spigot, I noticed that there was no water coming out of the spigot, but I could hear water running. So what I'd like to do is just get you a plumber out.
I used it last fall. It worked just fine.
Yeah, I mean, crazy things can happen over the winter time, so I'd just like to get somebody out to take a look at that for you.
I mean, I hope they can come today.
I can see what we can do. You know, I don't want to promise anything, but I'd like to just at least talk to my dispatcher and get something set up for you.
Today we were out here for that systems check. Before I even hooked up my hose, I turned on the spigot outside. Nothing came out, but I heard some water going. Went downstairs, found a leak. So, with you being a Gold Club member, what I'd like to do is come around here to inspect that, make sure we're safe, there's no corrosion, or maybe the pipe froze. So, we want to get them out here and get a look at for you today.
Well, I didn't have my hose hooked up all winter. We do it every fall, so I hope it's not leaking.
You and me both, but it's better to be safe than sorry.
I guess, I mean, yeah, makes sense. Let's go ahead and get a plumber out here.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Hey Brian, so I went out to rinse off your AC. I turned the spigot on to make sure we had water. I wasn't getting any water coming out, but I could hear it running. I went downstairs. I'm not noticing any leak because you have a finished basement, but I would like to have a plumber come out and take a look just to make sure everything's okay, because we're not supposed to hear running water if we're not getting water out of the spigot.
Well, yeah, that's sort of concerning. You maybe get one out here today?
Yeah, let me call my dispatcher and make sure we're all good, but we should be able to get you out here.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, as long as it's today, the rest of the week's busy.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Not with them big ass dogs. What you got?
You mind if I show you something outside?
Yeah.
So as you can see, I haven't even hooked my hose up yet, but as I go to turn this guy on, there's no water coming out of it at all.
Okay.
You know, I had asked you before if this guy was working and if it was okay if I used it, and it doesn't seem like it is. So what I'd like to do, if it's okay with you, is get a plumber out here to take a look at that and see what's going on with it.
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, it just seemed like it was working a couple weeks ago when we tried it. Was it just like low pressure? Nothing?
No, I had no water at all coming out of it, so.
Did you try looking at the other spigot?
No, and that's actually what I was just about to ask you, is if you had any issue with me using that to complete my check.
No, I don't think that one works either. So,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Well, if we get a plumber out here, we can take a look at both of them for you.
Yeah. Might as well.
Okay, perfect.
So are you gonna keep doing the AC check? What's the?
Yeah, I'll take a look over everything. Now it's not gonna be able to get washed off until we get one of the hose spigots working for you, though.
All right, not a problem. Will you come back out?
If that's what we gotta do, absolutely.
All right.
One thing too, I was talking with Jake, this was Jake's thing here too, like get permission from the homeowner too to turn that hose bib on, right? Like, hey, let's say Anna, can you show me where that air conditioner's at? You know, show me outside where that's at. 'Cause a lot of times they're just gonna point, yeah, it's on that side of the house, right? If you have them go out there with you a lot of times, if they're able to, now I don't expect the 90-year-old lady to go do that with you, right? Or the homeowner that's gonna be kind of, you know, hey, I've got a meeting, I can't go out there. Right, it's just outside. Have them go out there with you and just like, hey, is it okay if I turn this on real quick? You know, I just want to make sure that this is going to work, right? Because I have to clean this off. turned on real quick, and then, hey, there's no pressure here. That'll, before you even start with that AC sometimes, right? Yeah, and it's just a matter of how to talk to the homeowner, how to confront them, like say, hey, here's what I saw, here's what I noticed, here's what's kind of going on. I can have somebody come out and take a look at it, right? What questions do we have about hose bibs, wall faucets, anything today, homeowners?
When we role played together, you would ask the question, should I shut the water off in the meantime? Is that something we should recommend if we do come across that?
If the homeowner asks that, you can, say, if it's actively leaking, yes. If like it's an unfinished basement, or if it's a finished basement and you don't hear water running, but you see it kind of trickling out, you can say, hey, it's coming out of the light fixture. I can shut it off for you until one of our plumbers get here. But if it's an unfinished basement, you can see, hey, yeah, it's off. It's just wet on the floor. No, we don't necessarily need to, but peace of mind, we can. So you guys can go down there, use that ball valve. The other thing too, with that, if you go shut that water off and that valve is like, let's say, disgustingly corroded, don't touch it, okay? Because then I'm replacing the main and a hose bib at the same call. Because that can start leaking, that can start having other issues. Let's not rack up that bill for that homeowner on a frozen hose bib, right? Any other questions?
How often do you come across water leaking out of a light fixture? That's the third time you said that. I don't like that.
Quite a bit. Yeah,
And it's
like
above the ceiling, it's going on.
Man,
showers, toilets, yeah, anything from second floor to main floor. If there's any drywall below it, yeah, I see that quite a bit.
don't come over here? That sounds terrible.
It's not fun. Especially like when there's water actually sitting in the drywall and you go cut it and then you get soaking wet. Toilet too is the worst. Smells the worst too.
Does that blow the breaker sometimes, or?
No, because it's usually just kind of like right on the, like a little bit on the drywall. It doesn't get high enough to where it gets up to where the wire connections are. Unless it's a major form. Any other questions?
No, makes sense.
Okay, well, have fun out there, be attentive, be thorough on that, on your checks and everything. When you're looking at those hose bibs, just look for corrosion, age, and everything. And you can always bring up, make cross-department referrals, right? You guys get a little something out of that every time, right? So like, let's say you go out there, it gets turned over, that's something a little bit back to you guys, right? Our hose bibs go anywhere from, like if we have to cut drywall, it's like 600. If it's open basement, it's like 400. So for replacement. I don't expect you guys to tell them that. Don't tell them that though, okay? Because, you're going to say one thing that, well, Jordan said this or this, and then I've got to kind of work with that and call this guy, so, and then he's upset with him, so, anything else? All right, well, have fun today, guys. It's going to be beautiful. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.